Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial. It's a request from a friend. She asked me to break down a song for her in the key of G. It's called Draw Me Close. If you'd like to look at the chords, I would suggest downloading them first so that you can see what I'm referring to as I teach you. Let's get into it. So I'm going to break down how to start playing this song. With your left hand, it's going to play these two notes a lot, so get familiar with them. For this song, it's in the key of G, so our bass note is going to be G a lot with our little finger, and we're going to play the D with the thumb. So it's almost like we're playing a G chord, but we're leaving out the B. I find if we play all three notes, it sounds a little bit like not clear. So it's better to leave out the middle note and make it sound more open and have a clearer sound in the bass. And then with our right hand, we're going to be playing the B. So you're going to have the whole chord but spread out more so that it's just clearer. Okay. And when I play, I like to try not to just hit all the notes at once. Sort of ripple a little bit. So like let your fingers not necessarily hit the notes all at the same time. So it just sounds softer and nicer. Okay, so you've got this for the first two counts before you start singing. But we're going to actually play the melody with the right hand. So it will sound like this. Right. That was the first line. What I did was I played the G chord, the right hand. The left hand's just playing those two notes. And then when I want to play the melody, it's B, D, G. So again, it's the G chord, but it's like a broken chord, but it's the melody actually. Draw me close. And then to U, you're going to the C. And there, when you get to that C, you're going to play a C2. Instead of playing an E for the C chord, we're playing a D. If you see in the scale of C, your second note of that scale is D. And that's why the C chord is called C2, because it's using the second degree of the scale instead of the third. You can actually play the third as well. Also sounds nice, and that can also be C2. I think, though, I stand under correction, but I believe that this would be written as a C add 2. So just a C2 is like we're playing a C with only the 2, right? Okay, so we're playing it down here though, when we end that line, because our melody is here. So it's just easier for the person, if someone's singing along to you, easier for them to follow if you are playing your melody notes more at the top and not adding too much up here, like above your melody. All right, so. Not so great at explaining what I'm doing there because it kind of just comes naturally. But basically, I like to think of the beat not just as 1, 2, 3, 4. I think of it more of like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so when I'm playing, I don't really play on the third beat. I more play a little bit before, so like 1, 2, and 3, 4. I put a little bit of emphasis on the and. It kind of makes it more musical and less robotic. All right, so see if you can hear that. Okay, so 1, 2. So my bass tends to do that. If you saw, I played that D there on the and. All right. Okay, well I'm going to move on. So the next part is you've got to get to a D chord, but your left hand is still going to play the same two notes. All right, we're playing like a G underneath all of this. It sounds nice. So our D chord is going to be down here. Okay, so it's usually this would be D, but we're not going to play it up here because it's not where the melody is. It also sounds nice here. It almost sounds like a G major 7 for those who know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to break it down right now, but yeah, you could call it a G major 7 actually, or even a G major 9 because I'm adding the 9 in there as well. But with this bass down here and I'm playing a D chord on top, you've got a very colourful sound. All right, and then yeah, we are kind of going up here now for the melody, but you see this chord comes in before the melody, so it's like this, and then right. So never let me go, and never let me is a D chord actually. So you can hit all the notes, or just no, like 2 of the notes, and just let the thumb stay on the D. And then use these other fingers at the top to play the melody. So play like right. I just like playing on the beats the D chord in a different position. If you can see that, it's a bit hard for me to break it down, but and then on go, you've got the G chord again. I kind of play a little bit on those notes to give it some rhythm, and then for the next part I lay me down again. I lay it all I lay it all down again. Yes, right. So you're then going to play. Now the left hand must change. So you were here is now going to go down to here. So you can choose what finger. I know that what's coming next is I'm going to want to go here with my little finger. So I'm making space for that by using my 3rd finger on the F sharp. That just feels comfortable to me. You might find the 4th finger feels comfortable to you. I don't feel like that's comfortable to me. So this would be what I was playing. And then I'm going to be playing this for I lay it all down again, and then this. Okay, so it's a D, but it's a D with an F sharp on the bottom. If you can see this, it's an F sharp that I'm playing at the bottom, so that's why on the music it's written D/F sharp, because the F sharp is what the bass would play. Okay, and the next chord is a C over E. So now I'm going to be playing an E at the bottom. Okay, and I'm keeping a C here by my thumb. So D and C are right next to each other. So it's just moving one note down from each other. Okay, and that's pretty much as low as you're going to go. The next chord is going to be E minor. And that's where your little finger can stay on E and your thumb can play the B. Okay, and then you've got like an E minor chord there without the middle note, but yes. All right, so here, it's going to start here. And this hand is going to be playing a D in this shape. I think it's good here because our melody's here. I lay it all, okay. And then down. So I've spread my hand really far here. If this is hard for you to do, you don't need to do it. Right, so you can just go very simply like this. You can just keep it there. It will be fine. And then you're going to E minor. G down here. Okay. So from that, I lay it all down again. It's good if you can get your hand down to here so that you can play your E minor chord, basically like this. You can play this note as well, but we're going to play it now because we're going to play the melody, right? So we get, and then to the E minor, and then on say you're going to D, but it's I'm playing a G at the top because that's the melody. Your D is here, but I'm going to play that note, but I'm gonna skip onto the G first because I lay it all down again just to hear you say that. Just to hear you say. Right, hear you say is those notes. To hear you say, so you want to, again, I'm not like playing all the notes all at once. I'm kind of rippling on them, but very fast, okay. And then to C. I played the whole chord, but you could just play those two notes and it would be fine. Right, then we go back to the very beginning again. So you can actually play everything you just learnt for the next part. It is going back again to here. Help me find the way, right? I want us to move, so not stay there anymore. It's not going to be like that. This hand can be the same, but the left hand is going to move to a C chord, and I've written it as a C over E, so we're going to put an E at the bottom. So, to feel the warmth of your embrace. Lovely mistakes. Right, there we go. Like a walking up with the bass, all right? So let me start there. So you're here. Help me find a way. On way, you're going to play that E at the bottom and the C at the top, like we did earlier, and the D with the D over F sharp. So the F sharp at the bottom and the D at the top, and then back to our G. C, D, G. Right. So yes, that's what we want to do, right? So that's nice and simple. So you see I have got a C chord here. I've got my E at the bottom, C here, G here, and there's the melody on C. Don't need to play anything else, really. You can add a E here, but it might just make it more complicated. You could play even this one down here. Again, you don't need to. It's like, as long as you've got those main notes, it sounds like a nice C chord. So, help me find a way. And then bring me back. You've got to come back up here to this G for bring me back, right? But it's a D chord, so we want it to sound like a D chord. So down the bottom we've got an F sharp and a D. So I want our thumb to play A, and then the little finger's going to play the melody. So you've got a D chord nicely there, then you're going to play your melody here. Building into the chorus, so it's actually good to add more notes, like give it more weight. Okay, one more time. Right. Then, to lead into first two, I want us to play, so you've got U, actually there's 4 beats, and then it's 2 beats on a G sus 4, right. So you've got 4 beats of just playing this, and you can, okay, now I play more than 4 beats there, but you see what I'm doing, just rocking my hands a bit. Okay, and then, yeah, the G sus 4, it basically just means we're suspending the G, making it sound like it's hanging in suspense. Sus stands for suspense. And you're playing the 4th note of the G scale. So this is G. That was played terribly, so sorry all the music teachers out there. So you are, this is the 4th note of the G scale though, right? One your thumb would normally go on. Right, so that is G sus 4. But we are playing it up here. So instead of playing the G down the bottom here, we're playing at the top, that's all. Okay? You don't play the B in this. If you play the B, it sounds very murky. Right? That doesn't sound great. Well, depends what sound you're going for, but we're not going for that sound. So we're going for this sound. And we're only going for it for 2 beats. And then we want to do like these C over D and a D chord. Like this. So your left hand is already playing a G and a D, and it's going to play that for the G sus 4. Alright. Then the last 2 beats, the 3 and the 4, you're just going to play a D. So you can just take your little finger off the G, so we've no longer got a G in the bass, we've got the D in the bass. Even though it's your thumb playing it and it seems high, it's still a bass note because the one that's the lowest right now. Okay. And you're going to play a C chord, like just your normal C, right? And a normal D chord. And it sounds like it wants to go here. Okay, that's what we want. We want it to go, build up and go into the chorus. Good, so we ended here. Bring me back to you. Beats, so 3 and 4 counts. And then a G sus, and then right, so I just went into the chorus, and you'll see hand stayed in the same place down here. It's just the right hand that is changing, and you've got a G chord in this position. So hopefully you understand that this would be G in a root position, but we're playing it here, so the D instead of the top, the D's at the bottom. Doesn't mean it's a G over D, by the way, because this is our bottom note down here. So the bottom note is determining what the actual chord is, and the actual chord is a G chord, right? G, G, just G. If we played it like this, then it would be a G over D with a D at the bottom. We're not doing that, we're doing this. So it's here. Together on all, there's a D chord at the top and just a G and D at the bottom, and on want is a C. All the notes of a C chord, like that you're probably very familiar with. C, E, G. And again. So I am playing that quite fast there. Your melody is in the chord, so you don't even really actually need to play the melody. You could just play. Right, there goes my rhythm again, and I don't know what I just did. I can't explain it. You just have to stop, pause the video, and watch it over and over again. Okay, so. Where it changes again, and yeah. Right, and then the last line of the chorus chorus, it's changing to just a C. So, but then you'll see I've written it like with dashes between the chords. It means that we're doing the chords on each beat, so it's quite quick changes. But it's not scary, I promise. It's just walking down with your right hand, your left hand, walking down with your left hand from C, B to A. When we get to the A, you can add the E at the top. So it just makes a nice chord sound. Right, so from G, then you're going to go C, G over B, A minor. Again, that was C, normal C, then a G with a B at the bottom, and A minor, you move your fingers down to here, and you can hear that the melody is here. But technically this is actually an A minor 7. And the D7. I haven't got an F sharp in here. I personally don't like it with the F sharp. I feel like it sounds too old school. You might like it with the F sharp, but then you're going to play 4 notes here. Because you can play a D like this if you want to, but I mean it's really actually perfectly fine just having a D bass note here because it's quite quick, and you're going to want to get back to your G again. So yeah, in my opinion, I would just play that note so that you can easily get back to that note. Okay, those notes. So you've got an A minor, D, or A minor, D even, B, G, A minor, D, and then G with your left hand. Help me know you are near. So from that C with it over G, we're going then to C, G over B, A minor 7, and the melody goes there, and our chord is just like, it's a weird chord, I know, right? But just these 2 notes to play together, a C and a D. Okay, let me break that down. A D7, in your D major scale, your 7 is C sharp, right? There, I played it beautifully for all the piano teachers. So this is a D major 7, but a C sharp doesn't belong in the key of G, which is what this song is in. And so we're not playing a D major 7. We are just playing a D7. I'm sure there's some theory behind this, but I don't know it in my head right now. I just know that when I see only a 7 and not a major before the 7, then I'm not playing the major 7. I'm just playing the 7, which in this case is C, because C is in the key of G major, right? So we're not using a funny note in this chord for this song. The song is in G, right? The only sharp we've got is an F sharp. So when you're putting a 7 there, your 7, it's got to be the C. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. That's how I know it. Right, so we're not playing all these notes though in this part of the song. It doesn't need to be so complicated. Like I said, you could add the F sharp if you wanted to. You would just then play all these notes together. So you see I'm putting the C here instead of up here. Remember that a scale is 8 notes, right? So your 7 is just below the 8. And your 1 and your 8 are the same note. So that's also an easier way to find the 7, is to just think, okay, it's going to be just 1 note under my bass note, my number 1 note, my D in this case. So yeah. Right. So there's a D and there's a D7 just by moving my thumb down. I don't really need to do anything else. Some people like to do it with their left hand, so you could play this and then let your thumb do the work here with your left hand. I don't really like that. I will just, especially in this song, we're just going to play a D note. So we're going to need our right hand to do it. And this just sounds more like, sorry, I played the wrong note there. This sounds more like what the song sounds like. If I listen to the song in my head, yes, there's a song in my head, then I can hear that. Right, so. Oh, and there's our F sharp. Sorry, after all that. There's our F sharp. You are near. Right, so the F sharp was in the melody all along. So actually the person who's singing is going to make it sound like an old school song. Fantastic. That's the end of the song. To repeat the chorus, or perhaps I should just go over that part again. Did you see what I did? I hope so. But anyway, so you are near. Just ending on a G chord, right? So I'm going to go from that part where we do a little walk down again. So from the C. Then, if you wanted to repeat the chorus, you would need to do that C, D again, right? So it's just, when you're finishing, you will play. So, finishing the chorus on Help Me Know. C over D, D, back to G. If I wanted to go back to the verse, I wouldn't do that. I just feel like it needs to drop down and get into the verse. So I would rather than just hang on the G sus4 again. So when you're finishing, then just play a G sus4 and then back to the G. Again. Alright, so that's that. I hope you had fun and you've enjoyed playing along with me. I hope it made sense. If anything didn't quite make sense or you want me to break it down further, you can drop a comment down below. Or you can also contact me on WhatsApp. I'm quite happy to do small tiny little snippets of video to explain further little things that maybe didn't quite make sense to you. Happy to do that. I can't make like a massive video on WhatsApp, or a tutorial on WhatsApp, but I can just assist with little pieces of songs. So you're welcome to contact me and I will help you personally. And yeah, please please subscribe. I don't want to be famous, but it would be awesome if YouTube could support me. So I would love it if I could get lots of subscribers. So please, also tell other people about me and share the video, or give me some ideas if anyone's got a song request or something you'd like me to show you how to do with the piano. Drop a comment, contact me, however you feel fit to contact me. I will be very glad to help. Anyway, see you next time and have a lovely week. Bye.